Yes guys, what's going on? It's your boy
Robo-Bit.
Ashton here. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today I've got for you the top 5 most underrated guns in Apex Legends in my opinion. These are some of the guns that a lot of people carry around and use early game, but maybe they don't give enough respect. They don't use them enough late game, they don't give them the respect they deserve. We're going to give these weapons some love today. As is always the case with these top 5 videos, you have to remember that this is just my opinion. You might think some of these weapons are trash, you might think some of them are amazing. Guys, they're probably both, let's be honest. They're on the top 5 most underrated weapons list. They're probably good and bad in different ways, so just remember that these weapons are just my opinion. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more regular Apex Legends content from myself. And just remember, if you don't subscribe, then crypto might pull up to your house and a little something like this might happen.
Hello there.
Okay. So then jumping in at number 5, for the 5th place for the most underrated weapons in Apex Legends, we have chosen the Flatline. Now then, immediately some of you might be saying,
Ashton, the Flatline's not underrated, everyone knows it's good.
and to that I say yes, you are right. A lot of people do know that the Flatline is a good gun. However, why is it you never see it used in game? I swear, I never see the Flatline being used in game as consistently as you would imagine it should be for a gun of its power. I really do think the answer to this is in the fact that the Flatline is really hard to control. People definitely expect their assault rifles to be useful at mid and longer ranges, however with the Flatline that really isn't the case. It's pretty much impossible to control at those ranges and you're not going to be dealing consistently high amounts of damage to your opponents in those situations. Don't let this distract you from the fact, however, that the Flatline is an incredibly powerful weapon to use when you're up close and personal. Personally, I think the Flatline is one of the strongest weapons to use in close range combat in Apex Legends, simply for the high amounts of damage it dishes out, especially when you have a purple heavy mag on there, bringing the mag size up to 30 bullets. This is one of the strongest guns to have up close, and I really think it's overlooked and not used enough by players for these kinds of situations. If you're going to use the Flatline, make sure you're using it for close range, and trust me, you're going to have a really good time. Don't sleep on the Flatline. Coming in just ahead of the Flatline, we have another gun a lot of people are going to be confused at why it is on this list, and for me, the Hemlock is the 4th most underrated gun in Apex Legends. As most of you will know, the Hemlock did receive a buff at the start of Season 6, and a lot of people have noticed just how powerful it has become this season. It deals such a high DPS with such a high rate of fire after this latest update, and trust me guys, this gun is still slept on even though so many people know that it's a good weapon, and I mostly think that is because of the sniper meta that has come in with Season 6. I think if we didn't have this long-range sniper meta, we wouldn't be seeing as many of the snipers, of course, but we'd be seeing so many more Hemlocks, because now the Hemlock is such a versatile gun. You can use it at close and mid ranges. Close range it is pretty hard to use, but it's got a decent hip fire on it, so if you hit those shots, you know you're going to be dealing a large amount of damage, and of course at mid range it is also very powerful in the burst mode now, especially with its reduced recoil and increased fire rate. But guys, the best part of the Hemlock is the fact that you can change it to single fire and use it at long range as well. Everyone knows the single fire Hemlock is an incredibly powerful gun to use at long range. It can definitely shred your opponents and leave them with no chance of running away because of the huge mag size when you have an extended mag. Because of the rise in sniper rifles in Season 6, the Hemlock has actually been slept on probably more than it should be. A lot of people still know it's a very powerful gun, but it's definitely not being used as much as it should be in my opinion, because for me it is one of the best guns in Apex Season 6. So next time you're running in ranked and you find yourself looking at a Hemlock on the ground, don't just pass it over, consider using it because it is viable for long, medium and close range, and that's a lot of coverage. But moving on away from heavy weapons now, we have our 3rd most underrated gun in Apex Legends, and this time we're going with a shotgun. You already know what it is. Of course I'm talking about the EVA 8. Now then, if you're a shotgun user in Apex Legends, your go-to shotgun is probably the Mastiff, and that's for good reason. Everyone knows the Mastiff is a very strong weapon. However, I would argue that the Mastiff's counterpart, the EVA 8, probably doesn't get as much love as it deserves. Now, off the drop with no shotgun bolt, the EVA 8 is quite a weak weapon. I can see why people don't use this weapon as much when it has no shotgun bolt, because let's be honest, it shoots really slow, you can miss your shots, and it doesn't always deal the highest amount of damage. It's not exactly the kind of shotgun that you want to be pulling out in a fight. However, if you get a decent shotgun bolt on the gun, I'd say blue or better, or even the double tap hop up, this weapon slaps. Now obviously for the most part you don't want to be leading into your fight with a shotgun, so don't go thinking you can run in with the EVA 8, destroy people who are on full health, because let's be honest, that's probably not going to happen. Even with a Mastiff that can be difficult. However, if you're going to use the EVA 8 as a backup weapon to deal damage once you have dealt some damage with a ranged weapon, then this is a decent choice, 100%. Because the EVA 8 with its fire rate can be very overwhelming for opponents to deal with, especially when they're low on health already. While personally I prefer to use it on single fire mode with the purple shotgun bolt, double tap mode is also a very viable option for the EVA 8, because if you hit both bursts, you can hit upwards of 120 damage, and of course that is very damaging to your opponent, especially if you've already hit them for a decent amount going in. Now coming in our second place spot for the most underrated guns in Apex Legends, this time we've got a gun returning from previous seasons that a lot of people used to love. I think everyone used to love this gun in fact, but then it kind of went down the drain in Season 5. But in Season 6, it's been brought back up to a level where I think people are actually sleeping on it more than it deserves. Of course guys, I'm talking about the Havoc. Now everyone knows how strong the Havoc was in Season 4. This thing was a laser beam. It was insane. Everyone knew it needed nerfing because it was ridiculously powerful, had no recoil and a huge mag size. You needed no attachments for this gun to be an endgame weapon off the drop. So with that, in Season 5 the Havoc was nerfed, and nerfed into oblivion. It became unusable because of the insane recoil pattern they put on it, and this weapon got dropped completely. No one was running it, and for good reason. However, I'm here to tell you that they changed the recoil pattern in Season 6, and honestly the Havoc is actually quite usable again now. Now don't get me wrong, it's not going to be beaming at mid to long range like it was before. However, it's certainly more controllable than it was before and still deals that high damage output, especially if you have a turbocharger. It's such a high DPS, shoots so fast, and is definitely controllable now, so it's at a point where it's usable again and people are sleeping on it. Especially with the hipfire at close range, this gun is almost unbeatable in certain situations, and I really think people, once they catch on, will start using the Havoc again. Personally, I'd go as far to say as I might even take a turbocharged Havoc over a turbocharged Devotion, because it shoots that much faster off the spin up. Now I had a ton of fun using the Havoc in the recording for this video to get some gameplay for you guys, and I highly recommend you give it a try if you haven't already. Give it a few games, see if you can control it, see if you're shredding people as fast as I was in this gameplay, and you may just find your new favourite weapon. But guys, coming in at the number 1 spot, the most underrated weapon, or should I say weapons, in Apex Legends Season 6. Guys, there was only ever one choice I could put here, and for me it has to be the hammer point weapons, the P2020 and the Mozambique. Now I want to be absolutely clear from the get-go, I am not talking about these guns without hammer points. Everyone knows they're trash, unusable weapons. Okay, maybe the Mozambique is slightly usable now, but you just don't want to use it, it's not underrated, they're not used for a reason. But with the hammer points hop up, these weapons become incredible guns. Like, I'm not joking, these are some of the strongest weapons in the game, and I have to say, especially the hammer points Mozambique, they are being slept on. Again, I would say this is mostly down to the fact that we are in a long range weapon meta now, so we're not seeing as many of those close range weapons being utilized, and when they are, it's most likely a Prowler or a Volt. But guys, if you're looking to play a shotgun, the hammer points Mozambique is the best option. 100% in my opinion, the best option. I don't know about you guys, but when I use a shotgun, I want to be going in on an opponent who is already cracked, or at least close to being cracked, because I know I can deal those high damage shots that can knock them in 1 or 2 shots. Now, the Hammer Point's Beak is the best shotgun for this. With 1 additional shot in the chamber for Season 6, the Hammer Point's Beak now has 4 shots and can deal up to 100 damage. 100 damage in 1 shot on a flesh opponent. It takes 1 shot with the Hammer Point's Beak to knock someone. Of course, if you're not lucky enough to hit all of the pellets in that shot, chances are you're going to be hitting for around 68 as well, which is still a very high amount of damage in itself. Of course, the same can be said for the P2020 as well, which hits for around 38 to 36 damage per shot with hammer points on a flesh target. And guys, it's really about choosing between the two, the Mozambique or the P2020, and for me it all comes down to whether or not you think you're going to hit your shots. If you're someone who is confident in hitting those shots, then use the Mozambique because you're going to be dealing higher amounts of damage faster. However, if you would rather a more forgiving gun, then use the P2020 because you have way more shots and you can still certainly overwhelm your opponents. It's also worth mentioning that the P2020 and Mozambique with hammer points are very scary guns to come against. When you know your opponent has a hammer points weapon, you are instantly on edge because you know the moment you get cracked, you are vulnerable, very, very vulnerable to their guns, and they are probably going to shred you instantly. So just for intimidation factor alone, these guns are slept on. I'm not seeing them used nearly as much as I probably think they should be, so definitely give them more of a go in your loadout if you haven't already, especially the hammer points Mozambique, because that thing slaps. But guys, with all of that being said, that is all for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more regular Apex Legends content, guys. But with all that being said, it's been your boy Ashton, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, and goodbye.